You know, I gotta tell you, it wasn't that long ago when everything in my life felt like it was crumbling right under my feet, like the ground itself was shifting, and I couldn't find a single solid spot to stand on. I'd wake up in the morning in my little apartment in Seattle, staring at the ceiling, wondering if anyone up there was even paying attention. The bills were piling up, my job at the coffee shop was hanging by a thread after that big layoff wave hit the city, and to top it off, my so-called best friend, let's call her Lisa, had just ghosted me after borrowing money she never planned to pay back, leaving me feeling like a total fool, abandoned in this rainy, gray world where nothing seemed to go right. It started small, but man, it built up fast, those little whispers in my head saying, "You're invisible, Jake. No one sees the real you, the one who's hurting inside while putting on that fake smile every day." I'd cry in the shower so no one could hear, pray half-heartedly at night, but it felt like my words were bouncing off the walls, going nowhere. And then there was my neighbor, old Mr. Harlan down the hall, this grumpy retired guy who ran the building's informal committee like it was his personal kingdom, bang on my door at odd hours, complaining about noise I wasn't even making or nitpicking the way I parked my beat-up Honda in the lot, all because he had some beef with young folks like you ruining the neighborhood. It wasn't just petty. It felt personal, like he was out to make my life miserable, maybe because I'd once called him out for blocking the laundry room with his junk. "Who do you think you are, kid?" he'd snarl through the door, his voice dripping with that smug authority. "This place has rules, and you're breaking every one of them. Keep it up, and I'll make sure you're out on the street." I'd stand there, heart pounding, muttering under my breath, "Why me? What did I do to deserve this constant fight?" But here's where it gets interesting. Amid all that chaos, something shifted, like a light flickering on in the darkest room you'd ever imagine. I remember sitting in my tiny kitchen one rainy afternoon, scrolling through my phone out of sheer boredom, and bam, this video pops up. Nothing fancy, just some guy talking about how God sees us, really sees us, not the polished version we show the world, but the messy, broken one we hide. It hit me like a truck, because right then, I felt seen for the first time in months. You see, I'd been carrying this weight, the loss of my dad last year to cancer, the way it tore my family apart, with my mom back in Ohio barely holding it together, calling me in tears saying, "Jake, I don't know if I can do this alone," and me feeling helpless, thousands of miles away, pretending I had it all figured out. But that video quoted this story from the Bible about a woman named Serrano. Wait, in my mind it became like my own aunt's tale. This strong lady who'd been kicked out of her home by a jealous relative, left wandering in the desert of her life, feeling worthless and forgotten. And then, out of nowhere, God shows up, calls her by name, says, "I see you. I value you. You're part of something bigger." It was like that for me. Suddenly, I realized, maybe I'm not as alone as I think. Maybe there's a higher power watching, bottling up those tears I shed in secret, hearing the prayers I whispered when the apartment was empty and the rain pounded the windows like it was trying to drown out my doubts. That realization, it sparked something fierce inside me, a kind of quiet rebellion against the darkness that had been closing in. I started digging deeper, reading bits of the Psalms on my lunch breaks, like that one where it says the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, his ears open to their cries. And yeah, I know, it sounds a bit churchy, but hear me out. It felt real, like a lifeline thrown just when I was about to sink. My season of loss, that endless confusion where every day felt heavier than the last. It wasn't the end. It was just a chapter, a temporary storm that every winter eventually gives way to spring. I'd think about Mr. Harlan's petty wars, how he'd corner me in the hallway with that smirk, saying, "You think you're special, huh? Wait till the board hears about your late rent. I'll have you evicted faster than you can say sorry." And I'd bite back, "Come on, man, what's your problem? This isn't about rules. It's about you needing to feel powerful because your own life's empty." Those exchanges, they escalated, got heated, with him slamming doors and me pacing my room, fuming, wondering if I'd snap one day. But instead of breaking, I leaned into this new fire. What if the attacks on my life, from Lisa's betrayal to the job stress to Harlan's bullying, weren't random? What if they were signs of something bigger at stake, like the enemy sensing I was meant for more, trying to derail me before I stepped into it? Take Lisa, for instance. She wasn't just a friend. She'd been like a sister, But jealousy crept in when I landed that promotion before the layoffs hit. And suddenly she was spreading rumors at work, whispering to our boss, "Jake's not reliable. You know's always distracted." I'd confront her over coffee, heart racing. "Lisa, why? We were tight, what happened to us?" And she'd laugh it off, cold as ice. "Grow up, Jake. Life's not fair, and neither am I." It stung, deep, like a knife twist, but it pushed me to see the pattern. These battles weren't about my weakness. They were proof of my potential, echoes of old stories where great things were born out of chaos, like a kid named Moses dodging death because he was destined to lead, or even Jesus facing threats from the start because redemption was on the horizon. The devil, or whatever you call that dark forcito, isn't bother with nobodies. He goes after the ones with destiny written all over them. And me? I was starting to believe I had one, something abundant, full of life, not this thief stealing my joy bit by bit. Hope became my anchor then, not some fluffy wish, but a real weapon, holding me steady when the waves crashed hardest. I'd sit on my balcony overlooking the Puget Sound, watching the ferries cut through the mist, and remind myself, this storm won't last forever. Even when faith wavers, hope whispers, hang on, God's still in control. It was contagious too. I shared a bit with my mom over the phone. "Mom, I read this thing. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure, and it feels true. Like no matter how bad it gets, there's a turnaround coming." She'd pause, her voice softening. "Jake, honey, if you believe that, maybe I can too." And slowly, things shifted. The job stabilized with a surprise raise. Lisa faded out after I cut ties. No more drama. But Mr. Harlan? Oh, that climax was something else. One evening, he ambushed me in the lobby, red-faced, yelling about some imagined violation. "You're done here. Boy, got the votes to boot you." I stood tall, calm for the first time. "Harlan, you know what? I see you too, the loneliness behind all this anger. But I'm not fighting you anymore. I've got bigger plans." He sputtered, caught off guard. "What? You think you're better than me?" And I just smiled, walking away. "No, Monty, think we're both seen by something greater." That moment, it was electric, like a scene from a movie where the underdog flips the script, the tension building to that satisfying release. Harlan backed off after that, maybe shocked by my peace, or perhaps he found his own reflection too harsh. My life didn't magically perfect itself, but the weight lifted. I felt refined, not destroyed, like walking through fire only to emerge stronger, chains burned away. God's plan, I realized, was weaving all the mess, the betrayals, the delays, the heartache into something good, turning pain into purpose, just like that promise. "I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, not harm you, to give you hope and a future." My scars, they weren't the end. They were badges, proof that what tried to break me only built me. I wasn't the failure, the abandoned guy anymore. I was chosen, royal even, called out of the dark into light. And looking back, that shift changed everything. The wilderness became a passageway, not a prison, leading to this new season where joy sneaks in like dawn after a long night. I even started helping out at a local community center, sharing my story with folks going through their own storms, watching their eyes light up as hope caught fire. But here's the thing that still nags at me sometimes: was Harlan really the villain, or just a mirror of my own unresolved anger? Did I handle it right by walking away? Or should I have pushed harder for real change in that building? Maybe rallied the other tenants against his little power trip? It's messy, justice in communities like ours, where HOA rules or neighbor feuds can feel like mini dictatorships, driven by ego or old grudges. What do you think? Drop a comment below. Have you dealt with something similar? A bully next door, or a betrayal that tested your faith? Was it fair, or did it reveal something deeper about right and wrong? Share your take. I'd love to hear how you'd handle it, because these stories, they connect us, remind us we're all in this together. And hey, if this resonated, hit that like button, subscribe for more real talks, and let's keep the conversation going.